Hello whiskey lovers and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. Today you might think I am in Japan, but I'm not. I'm actually in Toulouse in southern France. But they have this beautiful Japanese garden and I thought, well, if I'm here and in the Japanese garden, I might as well do a video about a Japanese whiskey. And the bottle I've brought with me today is the Suntory Old, which is actually a rather old bottling. This is a Japanese whiskey from the 1990s. And while not many people are aware, Suntory is actually a company that owns 3 distilleries. You have the Yamazaki single malt distillery, you've got the Hakushu distillery as well, which is a slightly peated malt, and then you've got the grain distillery Chita. And they have been creating whiskey in Japan since 1923, but it wasn't until the late 1980s until the first Japanese whiskey appeared as a single malt. This is not a single malt though. It took until only less than 20 years ago before we Europeans finally noticed Japanese whiskey. But this is a blend, and you have to realize that in Japan blends are, well, much more appreciated than single malts. Their idea is that a single malt, well, anyone can create a single malt because a single malt is science, while a blend, now that is art. This is the Suntory Old, which has been around since the 1940s in Japan at least. We haven't noticed single malts or Japanese whiskey at all for the past 20 years. This has been around since the 1940s, like I said, and it's called Suntory Old, a blended whiskey. And it's in a strange bottling because this is 760 milliliters, which is a size that we are not very much familiar with. It is bottled at 43% ABV, and it goes to reason that this might be composed of Yamazaki, Hakushu and Chita. Right, so it's got this beautiful copper color, a deep copper in fact, amber to copper on the nose. This is very accessible, very sweet, a bit cloying in fact. But it's got this nice hint of peat, which makes me believe, although I do not know for certain, I do believe there's quite a bit of Hakushu in there. But this is very accessible, every man's friend, so to speak, a card player's whiskey on the nose. I get all the beautiful notes from bourbon casks and sherry casks. Quite accessible, sweet, broad, lovely on the palate. It's actually pretty oily. Clings to the teeth, and immediately I get both the sweetness of bourbon casks and sherry casks, but I also get this slight peatiness. It's not wood smoke, it's actually peat, which makes me believe again that quite a bit of Hakushu went in this blend. But it is very friendly, no burn whatsoever. There's a little bit of heat, but it's mostly fruity, a bit drying towards mid-palate. Quite lovely, in fact. Wow, why didn't I try this before on the finish then? I'll be honest, the finish is not very long. Has to be said, it's short, let's just be honest. Nevertheless, it's quite soothing, quite satisfying, in fact, sweet again, with a slightly drying point towards the end. But this is a very quaffable blend indeed. And like I said, the Japanese, they consider blends to be a form of art. And this is, in fact, a slight piece of art, let's face it. It's quite affordable, and you can actually still find this bottling, the Suntory Old, which is a blended whiskey from Japan. And I have to be honest, I'm quite fond of it. And that's all for this Whiskey Rambling, and I hope to see one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the blend be with you. Bye-bye.